Archangel Michael says, "All eyes are on you. The one watching will shock you, my beloved. I need you to listen with your whole heart right now. What I am about to reveal to you carries the weight of eternity itself, and it concerns something you have wondered about in the silence of your nights, in those moments when you thought no one was paying attention. But I have been watching. I have always been watching, and today, the veil between what you see and what is truly happening around you grows thinner with each word you hear. There is something you need to understand about your life at this very moment. You are not as alone as you think you are, and you are certainly not as invisible as you have felt. In fact, there are more eyes on you right now than you could possibly imagine. Some of these eyes belong to those who admire you from a distance, unable to put into words what draws them to your presence. Others belong to those who watch you with a mixture of envy and fascination, trying to understand what makes you different, what sets you apart from everyone else they know. And still others watch you with something they themselves cannot fully comprehend, a spiritual recognition that unsettles them because it forces them to confront their own emptiness when they measure themselves against the light that emanates from your spirit. I want you to think back over the past weeks and months. Have you felt it? That strange sensation that someone was speaking your name when you were not in the room? That peculiar awareness that washed over you during ordinary moments, making you pause and wonder if something significant was happening just beyond your perception. These were not random feelings. These were not your imagination playing tricks on you. These were confirmations, divine notifications that I was allowing to break through into your consciousness because the time for full revelation is drawing near. You see, my child, I have allowed certain conversations to take place about you. I have permitted your image, your words, your very essence to be passed from one person to another in ways you never authorized and through channels you never opened. Someone very close to you, someone whose face immediately comes to mind as you hear these words, has been showing others who you are. They have shared your photograph, your social media presence, perhaps even private messages or moments you thought were kept in confidence. And what happened when your image was placed before these other eyes will shift everything you thought you understood about the relationships in your life. If this message is resonating with you, if you feel that stirring in your chest that tells you this is not coincidence but divine appointment, I want you to do something right now. Type the word "received" in the comments below. This is not just about engagement or community, though those things matter. This is about making a spiritual declaration that you are ready to receive what I am about to reveal. This is about opening your heart to truth that may be difficult but is ultimately designed for your freedom and your elevation. Now let me tell you what happened when your image was shown. 3 distinct responses emerged, and each one tells a story not just about you, but about the spiritual frequency you operate on, a frequency that most people can sense but very few can match. The first person who saw your image, who looked at your face or read your words, responded with something close to awe. They said, and I am telling you their exact sentiment, that there is something rare about you, something that feels almost unreachable. They could not quite explain it, but they knew instinctively that you are not like other people. You carry something that cannot be manufactured or imitated. This recognition, though spoken quietly, was actually a spiritual acknowledgement that the anointing I have placed upon your life is visible even to those who do not have the language to describe it properly. The second person who encountered your presence, even through a photograph or a description, responded very differently. They felt intimidated. They admitted, with a kind of reluctant honesty, that something about you makes them uncomfortable. Not because you have done anything wrong, but because your presence exposes something in them that they would rather not face. Your light, you see, has a way of revealing shadows in others. Your peace highlights their chaos, your clarity makes their confusion more obvious. This is not your fault, and it is not something you need to apologize for, or diminish. This is simply what happens when someone who walks closely with me encounters someone who is still running from me. But the third response, my beloved, this is the one that should get your full attention. The third person who was shown who you are responded not with envy or intimidation but with something deeper. They felt it in their spirit, they said, and these were their words, that there is something divine about your presence. They could not explain it logically, they could not point to a specific thing you said or did, but they felt the weight of heaven when your name was mentioned. They sensed my hand upon your life. And this recognition scared them because it meant they could no longer dismiss you or categorize you, or reduce you to something manageable in their understanding. These three responses, these three distinct reactions to who you are, they did not happen by accident. I orchestrated this moment of revelation because there are truths hidden in the darkness that must now come into the light. For I have said that nothing is concealed that will not be disclosed, and nothing is hidden that will not be made known and brought out into the open. What was whispered in private rooms is now being proclaimed from the rooftops of your consciousness. The person who initiated all of this, the one who began showing others who you are. They are closer to you than you might want to believe right now. As you hear my voice, their name is already forming in your mind. You have trusted this person, you have shared pieces of your heart and your journey with them. You believed they were safely on your side, walking with you through your season of preparation and becoming. But I need you to understand something crucial: their intentions have not been pure. Their actions have not been rooted in love or loyalty. They have been watching you, studying you, measuring themselves against you, and in their own confusion about what they feel when they are near you, they have betrayed your confidence. This is not about condemnation. This is about clarity. This is about you finally seeing what I have seen all along, and more than that, this is about you understanding why this had to happen. You were never meant to remain in relationships built on hidden agendas and unspoken competitions. You were never meant to give your energy to people who smile at your face while questioning your calling behind your back. I am removing the scales from your eyes so that you can move forward with wisdom, with discernment, and with the kind of boundaries that protect the sacred work I am doing in and through you. Some of you right now are feeling a mix of emotions. Perhaps there is sadness at the thought of betrayal. Perhaps there is anger at the violation of trust. Perhaps there is even doubt, wondering if this message could really be for you, or if you are reading too much into a general word. Let me settle that question for you right now. If you have made it this far into this message, if something in your spirit has kept you engaged and attentive, despite any skepticism you might carry, then yes, this is specifically for you. The very fact that you have not clicked away, that you have not dismissed these words, is itself a confirmation that I am speaking directly into your situation. And now, as we go deeper into this revelation, I want to address what you have been feeling in your body and your spirit over these past weeks. You know those moments when you walk into a room and the conversation suddenly shifts. When you sense a tension you cannot name but can absolutely feel. When someone looks at you just a little too long, or looks away just a little too quickly. These have not been paranoid imaginings. These have been your spiritual senses picking up on the reality that your presence has been a topic of discussion, that your name has been circulating in conversations you were never invited into. I allowed this to happen not to hurt you, but to prepare you for what is coming next in your journey. You see, my beloved, you are about to step into a season where the favor on your life becomes undeniable. You are about to walk through doors that will put you in front of people who matter, people who have influence, people who carry authority in realms you have been praying to access. And before that happens, I need you to know who is truly with you, and who is simply near you. There is a difference, and that difference will determine whether you soar in the next season or whether you are weighed down by relationships that were never designed to go where you are going. The exposure that is happening right now is not punishment, it is preparation. It is protection. It is me, your Creator, your Father, your closest confidant, making sure that when I open the floodgates of blessing and opportunity, you are not dragging along people who will poison the well of your destiny with their unresolved jealousy and their hidden resentment. Let me tell you something else about this person who has been showing others who you are. They are struggling with their own calling. They have gifts that they have refused to develop. They have potential they have chosen to bury. And when they look at you, when they see you pressing forward despite your own struggles, despite your own moments of doubt and discouragement, it reminds them of what they could be doing with their own life. And that reminder is painful. So instead of being inspired by your example, instead of celebrating your progress, they have chosen to cope with their discomfort by discussing you with others, by dissecting your life, by trying to find flaws in your journey that would justify their own stagnation. This is a pattern you need to understand because it will show up repeatedly as you rise. Not everyone who celebrates you publicly is genuinely happy for you privately. Not everyone who says they are praying for you is praying in agreement with my will for your life. Some people pray for you to stay small enough that they can still feel big by comparison. Some people encourage you just enough to keep you accessible but not so much that you actually break through into the fullness of your potential. But I am breaking that pattern now. I am dismantling those false connections now. And I am giving you the discernment you need to recognize these dynamics so that you never again mistake proximity for loyalty or familiarity for friendship. If you are feeling the power of this message, if something inside you is being stirred and awakened right now, I want to ask you to do something important. Leave a comment below with the word clarity so that this message can reach others who need to hear it. When you engage with this content, you are not just marking a moment in your own journey, you are creating a pathway for someone else who is searching for the same truth, who needs to hear this same confirmation. Your participation matters more than you know. Now I want to shift your attention from what has been happening around you to what has been happening within you, because while others have been watching you externally, I have been working on you internally. I have been doing a deep work in your character, in your faith, in your capacity to carry weight without breaking under the pressure. You have felt the intensity of this season. You have wondered why things have been so difficult, why the challenges have seemed so relentless, why it feels like you are constantly being tested and stretched beyond what you thought you could endure. Let me tell you why. I have been preparing you for a level of influence that requires a level of maturity most people never develop. I have been strengthening you for a platform that would crush someone with a weaker foundation. I have been refining your character because I am about to trust you with resources, with relationships, with opportunities that could corrupt someone who has not been through the fire you have been through. The reason others have been watching you is not just because of what they see on the surface. It is because there is a light emanating from you that comes from a source they cannot identify or access on their own. That light is my glory reflecting through a vessel that has been cleansed by struggle and purified by perseverance. That light is the evidence of my presence in your life, and it is that presence that both attracts and disturbs those around you. You see, when someone who is living in compromise encounters someone who is living in alignment with me, it creates a crisis. It forces them to either rise up and pursue their own alignment or to attack and undermine the person whose life is exposing their own spiritual mediocrity. Most people, sadly, choose the latter. It is easier to tear down someone else's progress than to do the hard work of making their own progress. It is simpler to gossip about someone else's journey than to get serious about their own journey. But you, my beloved, you are not called to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You are not called to dim your light so that others can feel better about remaining in darkness. You are called to shine brighter, to stand taller, to walk with greater confidence in who I have created you to be and where I am taking you. And this brings me to the practical part of this message. Now that you know what has been happening, now that you understand who has been watching and why they have been watching, what do you do with this information? How do you move forward without becoming bitter or paranoid? How do you protect yourself without building walls so high that you also keep out the genuine connections I want to bring into your life? First, I need you to forgive. I know that might be the last thing you want to hear right now, but forgiveness is not about excusing what they did or pretending it did not hurt. Forgiveness is about releasing the weight of offense so that it does not anchor you to a painful moment when I am trying to move you forward into a powerful future. When you forgive, you are not setting them free from consequences. You are setting yourself free from carrying the emotional burden of their betrayal. Second, I need you to establish clear boundaries. Forgiveness does not mean you have to remain in close relationship with someone who has proven themselves untrustworthy. You can release the offense while also releasing the connection. You can wish them well from a distance while refusing to give them continued access to your energy, your ideas, your vulnerabilities. Wisdom knows when to build a bridge and when to build a wall. Third, I need you to pay attention to your intuition from now on. Your spirit has been trying to warn you about certain people and certain situations, but you have been overriding those warnings with rational explanations and generous interpretations. I am telling you now to trust what you sense. If something feels off about a person or a situation, it probably is off. Your discernment is not paranoia. It is spiritual intelligence that I have given you to navigate a world where not everyone who smiles at you has your best interest at heart. Fourth, I need you to start being more selective about what you share and with whom you share it. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every plan needs to be announced. Not every victory needs to be celebrated publicly. There is a time to be open and a time to be private, and wisdom knows the difference. Some seeds need to be planted in secret and protected from exposure until they have grown strong enough to withstand the elements. Fifth, I need you to surround yourself with people who are genuinely further along than you are in their journey. People who have nothing to gain from your failure and everything to celebrate in your success. Stop collecting surface-level friendships with people who are at the same level of growth you are. You need mentors. You need examples. You need people in your life who can see potential in you that you cannot yet see in yourself and who have the maturity to call it forth without feeling threatened by it. And finally, I need you to keep your eyes on me, not on them, not on what they said or did, not on the betrayal or the revelation or the drama of it all. Keep your eyes on me because I am the one orchestrating your steps. I am the one opening doors that no one can shut. I am the one making ways where there appears to be no way, and as long as your focus remains on me, as long as your trust is anchored in my faithfulness, and not in human loyalty, you will never be shaken by who leaves or who stays, by who supports or who sabotages. Now I want to speak directly to the one who has been doing the watching, the one who has been showing others this person's image and discussing their life. I know you are listening to this message too. I know you might even recognize yourself in these words, and I want you to understand something important. This is not about condemnation. This is about conviction. This is me, your Creator, extending you an invitation to examine your own heart, to confront your own jealousy and insecurity, and to choose a different path forward. You see, what you have been doing comes from a place of pain, not from a place of malice. You are not a bad person. You are a hurting person who has not yet learned how to process your own disappointment with your life without projecting it onto someone else's success. You are a gifted person who has allowed fear and doubt to keep you from stepping into your own calling, and so you have spent your energy analyzing someone else's calling instead of activating your own. But I am giving you a choice right now. You can continue down this path of comparison and criticism, and it will slowly poison your own potential until you wake up one day wondering why your life feels so empty despite being so full of opinions about other people's lives. Or you can take this moment as a wake-up call, as an opportunity to redirect your energy toward your own growth, your own healing, your own journey toward the purpose I created you to fulfill. There is still time for redemption. There is still space for transformation, but it requires you to be honest about what you have been doing and why you have been doing it. It requires you to stop hiding behind justifications and rationalizations and to simply admit that you have been wrong, and more than admission, it requires you to change, not just to apologize, but to alter the course of your behavior and your heart posture moving forward. Now, as we move toward the close of this message, I want to bring everything together with a prayer that will seal this word over your life and release you into the next phase of your journey. But before we pray, I want you to understand something crucial about what happens next. The revelation you have received today is going to change how you see people and how you navigate relationships. You might experience a period of withdrawal where you feel the need to step back from everyone and reevaluate every connection in your life. This is normal. This is healthy. I am not asking you to stay in that space permanently, but I am giving you permission to take whatever time you need to process what has been revealed and to establish new standards for who gets access to your life and your energy. Some people will notice your shift, some will even ask you what changed. You do not owe everyone an explanation. You do not have to defend your boundaries or justify your decisions. A simple, kind response is enough. Something like, I am in a season of being more intentional about my relationships, that is all. No drama, no detailed accusations, just a clear, confident assertion of your right to protect your peace and your purpose. You may also find that some relationships will naturally fall away during this season. People who were only connected to you through convenience or superficial interests will drift when they realize you are no longer available to play the role you once played in their life. Let them go. Do not chase people who are walking away. Do not try to convince anyone of your value. The right people will recognize what they have in you without you having to campaign for their attention or affection. And finally, get ready for new connections. I am bringing people into your life who are aligned with where you are going, not where you have been. These are people who will recognize your calling without you having to explain it. These are people who will support your vision without needing to control it. These are people who will celebrate your wins without secretly hoping you fail so they can feel better about their own lack of progress. These divine connections are already on their way to you, and the removal of the wrong people is simply making space for the arrival of the right ones. If this message has touched your heart, if you sense that this word was specifically for you at this specific moment in your journey, I want you to declare it in the comments. Write, I am ready for my new season, so that your declaration becomes not just a private moment but a public testimony that others can witness and be encouraged by. And if you have not yet subscribed, do that now so you never miss a message that might be the exact word you need to hear when you need to hear it most. Walk forward now with your head held high and your spirit at peace. You are not who they said you were in their secret conversations. You are who I say you are in the throne room of heaven. You are chosen, anointed, protected, and destined for greatness, and nothing and no one can change that truth. Until we meet again in the next message, walk in wisdom, walk in power, and walk in the absolute certainty that I am with you every step of the way.